afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alyssa Corum here, and I'm joined by Ed Carson. And Ed, give us a preview of the three stocks we're going to be breaking down today.
Yes, Ali, we're going to be taking a look at Inphi, Costco, and ASML, all with sort of different action today.
That's right. Okay, well, first let's take a look at the major indexes, kicking things off with a chart of the NASDAQ here, which gained 0.4% for the day, while the Dow gained 0.6%. The S&P 500 also, like the NASDAQ, up 0.4%. So we're just hanging out here after a strong day yesterday. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for most of the day, we were sort of mixed. I mean, we sort of vacillated between modest gains and losses, especially on the NASDAQ. Basically closed at session high, so that was nice. Don't want to get too much more extended because we're hitting some long-term channel lines going back to 2009. But hey, the NASDAQ's doing well. All the major indexes are up. Growth stocks generally did well. So, it's the kind of environment, not a whole lot of stocks necessarily to buy. That we'll take a look at one that did break out today, but it's a nice environment just to be holding what you have.
Yeah, which is so great that we have been just following the trend this whole rally since April, with those first breakouts then and opportunities to add along the way. You said growth stocks in general looking good, but one that did not end up looking too good today is Inphi in the chip space, reversing lower, down about 3% today after its quarterly earnings report, even though it reported very strong growth on the top and bottom lines.
Yeah, it's not exactly clear why it reversed lower. It opened stronger. This was one of the first leaders of the market rally. You can see that it broke out way back in April, one of the very first ones to go out. It had actually cleared a short consolidation, but this is one of the reasons why you don't buy just ahead of earnings, because there's just the risk, that factor. I mean, we've had a lot of positive earnings, but sometimes they aren't. And even when you do have an initial reaction that seems strong, you want to be careful. With the 5-minute bar, actually the 1-minute bar was the high. You can't see it on a 1 minute, it won't go all the way back, but the 1 minute was the peak. And and then we reversed lower, looked like we bounced back, but we never got back to those old highs. So if you wait for at least the 5-minute, try to get above the 5-minute high or the 1-hour high, it can help you avoid some of these issues. Yeah, sometimes stocks will just keep running up and you go, oh, I can't buy it, or I can't buy as much as I wanted, but it'll help you avoid situations like this. It's also surprising because AMD, NVIDIA, Monolithic, all these other data center chip makers had nice days. So
right, yeah, but we'll keep an eye on it. And like you said, it had this breakout all the way back here in April. We were even talking about it when it was rebounding off of the 10-week line here. So if you're holding stocks into earnings, you need to make sure that you have cushion, and you need to make sure your exit strategy is locked down. And if you're looking to add, analyze those intraday charts. All right, well, now let's pivot our attention to our stock of the day today, and that is Costco. A really impressive gain here for Costco today, Ed, clearing this little consolidation area, a strong gain over 3% and some nice volume to go with it.
Yeah, it was very nice volume. This came sort of had this sort of like, as a high handle over that area. It had previous 5 points. You can sort of see the dotted line. That's sort of clearing the entire consolidation. There was even an earlier one at 315.45. There was a lot to like, a strong volume. A couple concerns. You can sort of see that chart. There's a blue line there. That's the relative strength line. That has not been doing particularly well. It has made some gains since early June, but not a lot. I mean, that's just because some of the other tech stocks have been moving a lot faster while Costco has moved sideways. On the plus also is that tomorrow we have July sales will come out after the close. And so that could move the stock either way. Not as much as an earnings report is likely to do, but it will move it. But this is something nice to balance out your portfolio. If you have something like this or another slower growth non-tech company, to balance out some of these crazy cloud software names that are moving up sharply but can also fall in tandem. And so that's something to watch out for.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And we like to utilize the weekly and monthly charts at any rate when we're analyzing a stock. But when you're talking about those stocks that are just steady over the long term, this really shows you that. And with that relative strength line just moving higher all the while. But last but not least, let's check in with ASML. I'll flip back over to the daily chart here, continuing its rebound after pulling back to that 50-day line here, Ed. Although, I mean, it did I think it closed below that level last week. So that makes this one a little tricky.
Yeah, I mean, last week it sort of flashed a sell signal because it sort of closed. You could sort of see that it closed below the 10 week. Sometimes it's
Hmm.
hard if you fall sort of. We've done research showing that if it falls 2% or more, usually you want to get out of that stock. I mean, but sometimes rules are made to, made because not to be broken, but made because usually they work. I mean, it's sort of like if the clouds are all dark and, scary looking, well, maybe you want to get inside and it may not rain. And this is a situation where it's rebounding, but you have to, but there's a lot of other stocks when it happens that often they continue to fall. So if you sold because it broke through the 10-week line like that, you could buy it back here, or maybe after it gets above the 21-day line, gets a
Hmm.
little bit more above some of the shorter term area, a little bit more towards sort of a trend line, kind of area. But this has been because this has been a big leader. I suppose if you go back to a weekly chart, you can see how this stock has been such a big winner going back several years. So it's a leader in that
Hmm.
space. So it's definitely one not to write off.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And maybe we'll see it retake the 21-day line, or maybe this is the beginning of a new base here.
Yeah.
So, one for the radar. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. And if you are a leaderboard subscriber, it is our monthly leaderboard scorecard happening here soon. So make sure you go over to leaderboard.investors.com to check that out. We have Chris Gessel, Justin Nielsen, and Ken Shree. They are going to break down the last month on leaderboard and answer your questions. So we definitely encourage you to check that out. And we will also be posting a recording of that for subscribers as well. But that's it for today. Appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.